My next step is going to be to frame the roof. So, so I'm going to go to my level 2 view, and I'm going to get a component. It's going to be a 2x6 again, and place it on the work plane. So that's the level 2 work plane. It's rotated wrong, but we can deal with that. And I'll place it. I'm going to change my scale so it looks a little bit better. I'll click on it and rotate it by this corner. And that's not at all what I want, so I'm going to delete it. I'm going to go to my south view. You know, I've got that issue again of having to place it on the proper plane. So so I'll get it again and place on the work plane. Place on the face. And I can get it on that face. And I'm going to rotate it up. Like that, and look at it in 3D. So it's on the right plane now. Just have to get it in the right location. So I'll go back to level 2, and I'm going to stretch it all the way across the building down to this edge, and I'm going to move it over. I think I made this 24 inches, right, or 24 feet, I think. Yeah, 24 feet. So it's going to be actually kind of an odd dimension here away from the edge. It's going to be 24 feet minus 0.75, right? So 23 and a quarter inches. So 23.25 inches. And then I'm going to copy this. Multiple copies, 2 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet. Type it in. So I put my rafter, my joist in. These are called ceiling joists, and we can look at it in 3D. It looks pretty good. They're resting on that double plate. Good, solid, old-fashioned construction here. Now next, I want to put the rafters in. So the rafters are these diagonal ones here, and that's a little bit tricky, but let's do that. So first, I need I need to align them with this slope, and you'd think you could align them directly with the slope, but we drew this, so that's a little bit tricky. We need a perpendicular plane to the slope. Now that may not be very obvious how to get to that perpendicular plane, but it's very easy to do if we go to an elevation. So this end elevation, and I can draw a reference plane here from the midpoint. Well, yeah, midpoint, and pull it off, and it helps me get it perpendicular. And so now I have that perpendicular plane. Now I'm going to give it a good name. I'm going to call it the south roof perpendicular. And I can go to the south view, and I can activate my drawing plane to be the south roof perpendicular and show it. It's not real helpful to show it, but so I'll turn that off. But it seems right. And then I can add a component. I'm going to add a 2x8 here for my roof. And I'll place that 2x8 on the roof there, and I should be able to rotate it. Oh, I think I did it wrong. I need to place that by work plane. Okay, let me try this again. I'm going to place that on my south roof perpendicular plane. And let's see if we can do that. Place it on the work plane. And let's look at it in 3D and see where it is. It's floating up here. It seems to be on the work plane. I look at it from the south view. I can select it and rotate it 90 degrees. And it's still not doing it. So let's spin this a little bit, and maybe I can see it better. There we go. So I can pull it across there and put in 90 degrees, and I rotated it. Okay, so now it's on the right plane. Looks like the right plane, the right orientation and all. I just have to move it to the right location. So I'm going to move it from this corner to I don't want to constrain it to this location. It's not quite right. From this corner to this location. And that's not really right either. How about this corner to this location? And I'm going to click this, and let's go back to wireframe so I can see it better. And I need to set my view well, let's go to a east view. And now I've got the stretch arrows, and I'm going to stretch it down to, it doesn't matter very much, how about right here? And stretch the top closer to the ridge, like that. Actually, a little bit beyond the ridge, probably better. And then I can look at it in my level 2 view, and I need to position it for this. And I'm going to position a rafter. I'm going to constrain it because I've got it about the right size, and a rafter here at the end. And I'm going to put a second rafter right next to it, so my end rafters are a little bit more developed than the normal rafter. They're doubled. And then I can put another rafter. Well, before I put another rafter, actually, I'm not going to put that one in. So I've got that one rafter here. Now, if I go to the west view, I can see that rafter. And I need to cut away some of the wood. And you can do this in Revit with a void object. So I've created a void object. And I'm going to load it into my model. And this is a very simple generic model. It's been parameterized so that it has a length, width, and height, or a height, 2 dimensions there. But it does have one special thing about it. One, when I created it, I set it to be a void, which you can do right here, as opposed to a solid. And if I click on this, my categories, I made it work plane based, I turned off always vertical, and I use cut with voids when loaded. Rather poorly described parameter, but it means that I can cut. When I load it into a project, I can cut solids with it. So I'll load it into my project, and I'll save it again. I'm in my west view, and I want to place it on a face, and place it right here. And I'll place a second copy. It doesn't matter very much where I place it, but I'm going to place it here, and I'm going to pull it down because I'm cutting away this little piece. So there's a flat part of the rafter that fits on top of the top plate, and we cut away this part of the rafter that sticks beyond. So now to demonstrate that, I'm going to go to modify and cut, and I'll pick the rafter and I'll pick the void, and nothing happened. Okay, I know why nothing happened. I'm going to go to the south view, and I can see why. It's because the void doesn't actually overlap the rafter. So if I pick on the void, I can stretch it, or I can move it like that, and I can click this one and move it like that. And then I can go to my, any view basically. And see my rafter, and cut it. And go back to that west view. And in the west view here, Looks like it cut with both of those. Okay, so so I've got the rafter the right shape. Now, actually, I'm going to undo that because so I'm going to uncut the geometry. Because I want to make it into a group. And I want to check the top up here. I'm going to check the top to make sure it looks just the way I want it. Yeah, it'll probably be okay. And I'm going to make this into a group. So the two voids in the rafter are going to be a group. So I'll go to modify here, and I'll pick those three objects and make a group, and call it rafter. And then I'm going to go back to my level 2, and I'm going to start placing these rafters where I want them. So I'll copy it from here to here, get that double rafter, to here, to here, to here, to here, and so on. I could do more of them, but I leave that up to you. Now, so I've got the voids and I've got the solids all there. If I go back to the first one I placed, the first group, I can edit the group, and I can pick the rafter and cut it and cut away these voids and finish. And the interesting thing is that when I cut them away in that first group, it cuts them away in all of the copies of the group. So so I've made all those rafters the way they need to be. And I'll go and look at its shaded view, and it looks pretty much right. Looks good. So so that's how we would do the rafters. We have to also connect the rafters at the top. There's a few different ways to do it. There, you could put a ridge beam in. You could overlap the rafters and nail them together. But each of them presents some kind of problems to them. Probably the ridge beam is the best way, in which case you'd need to use another void to cut off the top of the rafter so it fits around the ridge beam. Now, another sort of point is that the end studs here should be what's called balloon framing, and they should go all the way up to the rafter. There should not be a top plate across here. That's why we lengthen the top plate here so that you can put that in. Now, the kind of last thing I want to show, so the next video will have one more thing. It'll show how to make an opening. I'm going to stop this